Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back, whether you're on either platform, because this is one of those dual platform videos, and so you guys will know when you guys see it in this format. Anyhow, so what I wanted to talk to you guys today is about Starlink, okay? So the SpaceX Starlink, which is an internet service provider that may be coming in the future, or more than likely will be coming in the future. I don't have too much information on like a launch date for when this is going to happen, but I do want to talk about this because this kind of changes the game a little bit when it comes to, you know, ISPs and also your MSPs. So, and if you don't know what those means, internet service provider and mobile service provider. And the reason why I'm mentioning mobile service provider is because there is a company that's also looking at satellite as an avenue of providing mobile communication services to smartphones. We'll talk more about that a little bit later in the video, but let's just kind of go with Starlink and what's kind of going with this. So internet service providers that use satellite to provide internet to people is nothing new, okay? It's not brand new technology or brand new ideas or anything like that. There currently is internet service providers that are providing internet through satellite, but one of the biggest concerns that people have when it comes to internet from satellites is the latency. Okay, latency basically is the time that it takes for like a data packet from your computer to go through the internet to the service destination or the server and then back. Okay, gamers pay attention to latency when it comes to internet service providers because the longer the latency is means that the online gaming experience is going to be crappy. Okay. With current satellite internet service providers, they basically have a latency of like 500 milliseconds to 600 milliseconds, and that's not even good for VoIP or voice over internet protocol phone calls. So yeah, the latency is one of the biggest concerns here. And so I have the site pulled up. I'm kind of referencing what they're talking about here, what to expect from it. Okay, so just taking an excerpt from this, it basically says that with satellite internet, that means that your signal has to travel 22,200 miles to reach the satellite and then back down to the website server. And again, it talks about that the latency, the ping, basically would be like 500 to 600 milliseconds. However, Starlink satellites will sit about 342 miles above the Earth's surface, so it's much closer to the Earth, meaning that the latency wouldn't be so long. There's not much of a distance for it to travel. Plus, what they're also thinking about doing is like they're thinking about launching 42,000 satellites in the southern hemisphere orbit. What that intends to do is that with that amount of satellites out there, they're going to use laser to directly connect each satellite, transferring information. So if like you need something to come from like here in the US to a server in China, there wouldn't be that long drawn out time it takes to go to the satellite and then go to another satellite slowly and get down to a server in China. Like they're going to use laser, which by this it's comparable to what we currently have right now with fiber optic cable. So 42,000 satellites in the orbit. Some people are against that. Some people are like, okay, that's going to help out. But initially, using that means that the latency will be cut down. It wouldn't be 500 milliseconds or 600 milliseconds. So for those people who are interested, like, you know, what kind of speeds could you be getting? Currently, right now, they're looking at like 610 megabits per second. And I believe that's the downlink. They haven't shared any information on what the uplink would be. However, this was being tested with the United States Air Force prior to anything else. So let me see here. And yeah, it was used with the Project Global Lightning. So that was the initial beta test, partnership between Starlink and the United States Air Force to test this out. Now, satellite, you got to think one of the benefits of satellite internet service is that it's going to provide internet service in rural areas. So not just in rural America, but also, you know, in rural China, in rural Russia, in rural Africa, in rural, you know, Europe areas, which, you know, is like, yeah, you guys get the point I'm saying, right? In areas that are rural, that don't have a lot of, you know, fiber optics laid out in the ground or anything like that. Those areas in the country that still exist that are using dial-up speeds, they would be able to have a much faster internet service. The other benefit of it is that we're not digging up the earth so much. We're not breaking ground to lay out fiber optic cable when it's being delivered by satellite. So that kind of like, it just helps without having to do a whole lot of work. It's going to save companies billions of not having to build out the infrastructure that way. And so those are some of the benefits of it. But there are cons to this too. There are cons to satellite, and that being, when you think about it, you have to think the weather is going to play an impact into it, okay? Obviously, you're going to get slower speeds regardless. Even if the satellite sits only like 342 miles above the Earth's surface, you're going to still get some interference, right? Weather is going to be a major factor. You're also going to have to think of like, what is around you, like what's around your house, what's around your apartment complex. Those things play a factor into it, because it will obstruct the connection between the satellite and the dish connected to your home that's routed to your router in your house to provide you Wi-Fi. Trees are going to play a role in it. Other buildings, like if you sit in a building that has a taller building that's right in the line of sight, direct path to the southern hemisphere, that's going to obstruct your connection. You wouldn't be getting the more optimum connection to the satellite to provide internet service within your home. So those are some of the things you got to take into question that could be alleviated with some thought processing and some workarounds, and to be able to kind of work that around. But yeah, those are some of the things you got to think of. And of course, obviously, if there's a hurricane going over where you live, yeah, you're barely going to get any service, because of course the force of weather is really going to impact that. But then also there's also the solar weather that people got to take into consideration when it comes to these things, because yes, out there in space there is weather. We do have solar winds. We do have CME charges from the sun that hit our magnetic barrier, that also can cause power outages. It can even mess with anything that's electronic. So those things we have to take in consideration too. So not only do we have to worry about our own weather here on Earth, we have to worry about things out there in space that could interfere. But like anything, over time things could be developed and certain things could be implemented in place to make sure that they have some sort of backup in case these things happen, so that way customers can get the best service that they can possibly provide them. And the reason why I said that satellite is, an option for the future, without, with getting rid of having to tear up ground and building out an infrastructure right here on planet Earth and just have it out there in space. Mobile service providers are thinking about doing that. Now, I did a video where I talked about that Apple was considering doing its own phone service to provide to iPhones in the future, and that iPhones would have a direct connection, a direct link to satellites, because that's the way that Apple was thinking about going, was having satellites in space, provide mobile service connections to iPhones, and then so if you didn't want to go with Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, or T-Mobile, you would just sign up with Apple, and then you would have a direct link to Apple's network, because their network would be beamed down from satellites in the sky. And if they follow the same trajectory path that Starlink is doing by launching satellites within a close range to the planet, would mean that the latency and those things and cause of concerns for people would be cut down, or would be minimized, because of the fact that having it closer would mitigate the time that it would take for information to go from your phone to the satellite to a server, and then from the satellite back to your phone. So those are some of the things that Apple's looking into. And digging up some dirt, it also looks like that Google's kind of eye-spying satellite, and Google already has, it's basically an MVNO, and it's it piggybacks off of T-Mobile and US Cellular currently at this time, and eventually, maybe in the future, may have a third carrier added on. But if Google was to go the satellite route, they could, in fact, sever ties with being an MVNO on T-Mobile and US Cellular and whatever else company connects with, because they would have their own network, and all they really have to do is just follow the same steps that Starlink is doing. That's really it. And no, it's not cheap. It's not like it's going to be just a couple of $1 million to start, a satellite network for either Google, Apple, or any other company that decides to go that route. It is going to cost a grip of money. But you know what? The time that it takes to build out the infrastructure here in the US, and then also partnerships with other companies around the world, this makes it seamlessly easier to be able to do that. And since Google Fi touts the fact that you can use it here in the home US, but also take it overseas to China and any other place and use it there, this would definitely keep them within that point of Google Fi and not have them stray away from their original, what do you call it? Their original point. I'll just say it like that. You guys know where I'm going with this. But anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section of the video of Starlink satellite. Let me know if you guys are for satellite, against satellite. Is it cause for concerns about weather and things obstructing the connection to the internet? Do you guys think that Apple is on the right track of deciding to build out their own network by using satellite to provide service to iPhones? Do you think Google should completely ditch using T-Mobile and US Cellular and go the same route and go with satellite? Do you think satellite is the way of the future to provide internet service? You guys know where to do that in the comment section of the video. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed today's video, and subscribe and follow if you guys want to get more videos like this in the future. We would definitely appreciate that. And for right now, guys, as always, thank you so much for all the support and love. Allah.